Okay, thank you very much, John, for being our technical person. He's going to whiz off in a minute and hopefully you'll just be left with us. So welcome very much to the first live stream of Hebden Bridge Open Studios Online 2020. Today we've got Linden Mill artists and the Linden Mill Gallery exhibition that is going on, and I have three artists with me, which I'll introduce. I'm Dorothy Ann Simister. I'm a painter in Hebden Bridge and I'm hosting this event. So first we'll have Annie Conboy, who's a painter and does other things as well, I believe. I'm sure she'll tell you something about that. And Jan Langdale, who's a glassmaker and also does some print works as well of her glass things. And Tony Isseyegh, who's a painter, a filmmaker, and lots of other things, I think, as well. So they'll all be telling you about what's going on at Linden Mill, as well as something about their own artwork as well. So to kick this off, we're going to talk about what's happening at Linden Mill Gallery. And Annie, could you tell us something about the exhibition and what's going on there?
Thank you very much, Dorothy. It's lovely to be here this morning and speak to everybody. I really wanted to start with just explaining where we are and how to find us to have a look at this wonderful exhibition that we've got going on. The building we work in and have our studios in is a repurposed mill. It offers single, double and shared units of studios. And it contains a diverse group of artists, makers and creators, and with studios just as unique as they are. And interestingly, the mill also offers a large studio room that's for hire for groups, which is great interest for me as someone who teaches my style of art, to be able to have a bigger space in which to work in as well. Of course, we've got the gallery, and we are open to support Hebden Bridge Studios and showcase our work. Where you find us is a lovely little intriguing walk. You cross the main bridge and go along past the town hall and follow along to the Masonic Hall, where you'll see a lovely little cobbled street called Linden Road. As you walk along Linden Road, you find the biggest property right in front of you is the mill. And one of the most noticeable things is if you look up, you'll actually see the glass skylighted roof that creates so much light and air for the artists who are on our top floor. But go a little bit further, go inside, because we have a wonderful gallery space, which this weekend and next weekend we're opening for people to come along. For me, it's a lovely place, a vibrant hub. I used to work in my bedroom, and it's been really exciting to have a studio where I can get as messy as I like and mix and mingle and meet other artists and creators. So, beautiful building with lots and lots of exciting things inside.
Okay, thank you, Annie. Jan, I'm just wondering if you can tell us about the dates and times, getting into the exhibition, all the things around COVID and how you're coping with that.
Yeah, certainly. Hi, thank you, Dorothy. So I'm Jan Langdale, and so to do with the exhibition dates are this weekend, the 10th and 11th, and next weekend, the 17th and 18th. And we're open from 12 till 5, all Saturday and Sunday, both this weekend and next weekend. So as you come in, you'll be welcomed. There'll be someone to greet you. And then there'll be someone else in the middle to just check that there's no more than six people at any one time in the gallery space, and then someone at the end to say goodbye and to show you the exit. So we've got a one-way system, and you come in the front door, and then there's a side door you exit at. So we've got all precautions in place with hand sanitizer, and we'll all be wearing masks, and it would be lovely to welcome any of you in person to the gallery and the exhibition. We've got also a couple of the studios are open for open studios so my studio will be open on the first floor as well throughout the both weekend periods, and do come along, because there are other artists exhibiting who won't be shown on this video clip, so you're not seeing everything. This is a taster, and come along, and there'll be information about all of us as well, all the artists who are exhibiting, for you to be able to read about as well, and ask questions for anyone who's here. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, everyone.
Right, Tony, coming on to you now. I'm just wondering if you can tell us a bit about how the title of the exhibition came about, because it's quite unusual. It's called One, how that happened, and maybe, I do believe, as a technical whiz, you've got some information about the artist that you recorded and some pictures that you've taken of the exhibition. So maybe you can first tell us about how the title came about and how the artist chose the exhibition.
Hi, yes, Dorothy. Well, the reason for the exhibition is that we suddenly found ourselves as studio holders having to run things for ourselves, and realizing that we had a great gallery space and no administration to run it. I think we decided to have a go ourselves and have this celebratory one-off big first exhibition, including everybody who had studios in the mill. And that's why it's called One, because it's one object from each person who has a studio in the mill. And we had Linda Hodges and I took on the curating of the pieces and the hanging, and it was we're all so different to each other, but it was a lovely occasion to put work next to each other and just say, well, this is who we are, and we're here, and we're being in one space, come and see us. So that's the point of the exhibition. It's a simple premise, and other than that, I have recorded. I'll ask whoever was around to make a little recording about their work or about the piece that's in the show, so that gives you a flavor, a texture of how the artists think, and the fact that there's only one piece to represent them. It's obviously not much, but maybe it gives you enough of a taster to say, let's go back and look at some more work by these guys. I think that's all. Is there anything you think I've missed out? It's just, I've got this little film. I could play it now, and then people will get a flavor of the work and the sort of artists who are there.
I think that would be great if you can play the film, and then we'll come back to everybody afterwards and have a little bit of discussion about maybe some other things. Okay, thank you, Tony.
I'll try and find it now.
Just before you play it, Tony, what I wanted to say was there are also some artists in the mill who aren't exhibiting. So there are more of us in the mill than are actually in the exhibition. Yeah.
Okay, so that. Is that a full screen, Dorothy?
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay. Hi, Anna. You've got a painting in the exhibition at Linden Mill. You're one of the artists who has a studio there. I wonder if you could tell us something about what work you do there.
Hi, Tony. Yes, I have a studio at Linden Mill, and it's there that I paint. I use mainly acrylics, working on canvas or wooden panels. But that's not where I started. I started in ceramics. That's what I did at college. And ceramics is all about surface. So these days, moving into painting, it's still about surface. So I like to use different kind of papers and fabrics to bring texture to the paintings. So the sources that I use, it's all about landscape really, and I'm surrounded by such wide open moorland that comes into the painting as well. The weather too. So I often use drips and scratches into the paint to try to express the landscape and the weather.
Jocasta, hi. You've got a piece of work in the exhibition at Linden Mill. It's called Mother and Daughters, The Process. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about how the painting came about and what you do in the studios at Linden Mill.
Yep, the painting is a piece that was done with myself, my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old daughter. We worked in the studio together on the canvas and did process techniques and sort of messy mark using different fun, odd sort of tools. We used squirters and rollers and all different types of things to create a piece together as a family. And that is what I do in Linden Mill Studios. I have a process art studio that I invite families into to create paintings just like I did with my daughters using process art techniques, or also I run workshops and play groups so that people, families and children can experience process arts and the freedom and creativity that it brings.
Sheila, you've got a piece of work in the exhibition at Linden Mill, and it's called Dead Flies. I wonder if you could tell us something about the drawing or your work in general.
Yeah, sure. The piece of work is a pencil sketch study, 12 different flies. And it came about because we've all been very homebound, locked in, not in our usual routines. And so September, when it's near the end of the season for a fly, they seem to come indoors. And so I was super aware of them in the house and buzzing around, and it's really hard to get them out. And very often I'd be aware of a fly, and then the next morning there it would be dead on the windowsill or on the floor. And ideal as a subject matter for a piece of work. So I enjoy taking macro photographs. So I took a lot of photographs of these flies in various positions, in various lights, and I was quite taken with them, quite engaged with them. We sort of had a bit of personal time together, and there they were, dead and fairly descriptive in their poses. So I just made the most of the opportunity and did the 12 drawings all together, and great to have it up on the wall.
Great.
Hi, Tony. I'm at the Linden Mill Art Exhibition, and I'm just standing in front of your work, and it's very interesting. Your watercolour and ink drawing. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your influence and the process?
Hi, Linda. Yes, this is a series of works that I worked on in last year. And it came about because I was thinking about groups of figures, and sort of trying to set up a scenario where I would look at a series of poses that a figure might do and put them on a page and kind of decipher what direction they wanted to go. And I think with this particular one was quite interesting because most of the views are back views, and it did feel like all the figures were pressed against the paper and were trying to escape, but somewhere inside, not visible to us on the outside of the sheet. So I was kind of interested in that tension that the pose suggested, that there's something beyond the sheet of paper that the figures were trying to get to, and that's why it's called The Wall. Lou, hello.
Hi.
You've got a picture in the exhibition. It's called Peas, and I wonder if you could tell us something about it.
This was one of my pieces of work that I did during lockdown, when I had time to walk and time to grow things and just notice the small things and the changes and things over the months of lockdown. And I think time to notice the beauty in things, just small things like peas, and gradually unraveling them and finding out, the joy of finding out what was in something that I'd actually grown. So I drew it sequentially because it was not just one point in that, but all the points in the process of opening up the pea to finally finding that lovely pod with all these little tether points and so on. So I guess it's a very, very slow comic, and I notice other things around. There'll be more in a series of them, reflecting more and more things that sometimes we take for granted but don't actually always have time to notice.
Hi, Linda Hodges. You've got a painting in the exhibition that looks photographic, but has some very interesting atmosphere about it. Could you tell us a bit more about your process and the work?
Hi, Tony. Yeah, well, I'm sort of trying not to laugh here because you have a painting in the exhibition which looks quite photographic, and actually it's a photograph which looks quite tastefully. So that's really interesting. Yeah, it's a digitally manipulated photograph, and a lot of people have said my photographs do look like paintings. And I think they're increasingly looking like paintings. So I'm using digital software a lot more, being a lot more creative with it, and able to use layering and colour and cloning, duplication, things like that a lot more. And with a background in art as well, and painting, I'm really enjoying the process. And as to the subject matter, this one's entitled Sea Queen. It's the physical layering, I think, also connects with the layering of it's to do with the layers of consciousness and layers of symbol, layers of cultural and universal archetypes. The sea being, representing really the universal unconscious, and so it's something that's emerging. And I think even now, looking at it, there are lots of things that are still coming to me about this piece. It's something that I work on. I never quite know what it's going to be.
Julie, hello. I see you've got a piece of work in the exhibition at Linden Mill, and it's called Entomology, A Dying Science. I wonder if you could tell us more about its story.
Yeah, the story of this, it goes back years and years and years when I first started collecting things. And I suppose one of the smallest things I started collecting was insects. And there were a lot about. Your window ledges when I was growing up were always covered in dead flies. There were always flies buzzing around, if you like. And once I got my studio and started trying to capture things between glass, one of the first things I tried to do in a kiln was a spider, and it left just a shadow, which was just incredibly sad. So since then, I've been making little pockets of glass out of recycled glass. I've made a little pocket and then put one of the dead insects that I have spent years collecting into it, and then seal it shut like a little coffin with copper foil and lead, and then I've joined a lot of them together. So it's a scape of dead insect basically, and flies and bees and a grasshopper, not much colour in there, and it's all clear and textured glass. It sparkles, it's beautiful. Then you get up quite close and it's slightly shocking. It's a little graveyard. And so that's come about from what's going on basically with our latest extinction that's going on the planet. So yeah, it's a little graveyard, but also entomology is the study of insects, and they are getting less and less and less, and it's a massive issue. So yeah, that's why I did that. But it's been lovely making bubbles, and it's just lovely photographing all these little insects up completely close and personal. They're very beautiful. And that's it.
Okay, that's it. Oh, can't hear you.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
That was really, really interesting, and a wonderful insight into some of the things that are happening at the Linden Mill Gallery. It was really interesting, and it struck me that people like Julie and Sheila, quite independently of each other, have picked up on this fly theme, and I've seen both those pieces of work, and they are really beautiful. So I do hope people do come along and see the exhibition, because I think it'll be really, really interesting, as well as all the other works that haven't been shown or heard about. Maybe someone could tell us about what the future plans for the gallery and the artists in Linden Mill there. Having been an artist myself there and had a wonderful studio space, which I'm so sorry to have left, especially with everything that's happened now with the artists really taking over the building and making it into something. Maybe you could tell us something about the future plans for the gallery and what you see it as.
Jan, would you like to say?
Jan?
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's a great opportunity for the artists to be able to open it up, you know, to both use it themselves, and the idea is to open it up to other artists to be able to use, and other creatives. So there's been, a lot of people putting a lot of energy into it to make it happen, and this sort of tester exhibition is it will be a testament to that, because it looks fantastic, and I think it's also an amazing testament to our curators, to Tony and Linda, because just having one single piece, that was the only criteria, and having to put those together in a way that works, I think they've done an amazing job, and it's definitely worth seeing. And again, it's a start for what could be to come in the future. And even during this situation in the pandemic, it's a big enough space to be able to have social distancing and people still be able to come through and see things. Yeah. Anyone else?
Annie, would you like to give us some insight into the gallery or what's going on, or the future of Linden Mill?
For me, I think that what has been a real challenge is to continue to keep the energy going in the studios between the artists because of the COVID restrictions, the retreat that we're in, and continuing to see a future. I think that's one of the best things of all, is the commitment to there is a future. We don't quite know what shape it will take. We don't quite know how it will play out, because obviously we're in very uncertain times as a kind of public venue. But the desire to keep the creative flow and keep that sense of there is a future. It's been very challenging for the creative arts this last 6 months, and I think that one of the best things for me from being a part of Linden Mill is that there's the desire to kind of overcome whatever's going on. Let's just keep that wonderful energy and keep going. So I think that's probably what I've taken away from it.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you all about your own work. So maybe I can start with Jan and ask her a little bit about her glasswork, I believe, and some of the prints that you make. And I will come back to Annie and Tony later. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Yeah. So I'm Jan Langdale and I do glass artwork. So and it's dimensional. So I tend to work with I started with 6 layers of glass, and then I've moved up to doing more 9 or 12 layers of glass. So I basically paint one painting over the several layers of glass. So each layer has a different painting on it, and then they get combined together, layered up, and put in the kiln and stack fused as one solid piece. So the sense of dimension is enhanced with the use of colour. So I have, the stronger colours, darker colours at the front, go into lighter colours at the back, and again, these larger things at the front go into smaller. So it's an amazing process. It's very detailed, and I like detail, so that's good, and takes time consuming, but I absolutely love it. And then at the end of that, what I've started doing is creating some prints, so doing some G-clay prints, which are signed limited edition ones, so that people can, they enlarge really well with quality photographs. And yeah, people can also then hang them on the walls. So I've got a couple of pieces behind me, the prints there, and then this smaller piece, which if I bring it a little bit closer up, is one of my glass pieces. So you can't see it completely there, but you can see that that's a 9-layer piece. And yeah, I absolutely love trees. So I've always have. It's like they've been a place of nurturing and solitude and sort of stability. And nowadays, with everything that's happened in the environment, it's we want to encourage the growth and planting of more trees. So I also put a percentage of profits towards that for my work.
That's really fantastic. Thank you, Jan. That's
Okay.
really, really interesting. Tony, how about you and your work? I know you've got a fantastic film going on in the background. There are lots of different bits of your work.
Yes, sorry, I don't know what I've done there, but I'm just going to bring up a little. So really, the history of how I started has been going on for about 30 years now, and I been working professionally for that long, but the forms that I get involved with, the formats rather, or the media, keep changing. And I think from carving, I was attracted to carving probably 15 years ago after painting, and I got involved in making furniture, decorative furniture. There's a show, that's a piece at an exhibition. Carving's been a great discovery because although I studied painting most of the time, I did enjoy again, a bit of a tension between 2D and 3D, because these are relief sculptures. And because I painted them, it adds another paradox to the surface. So you get to enjoy a piece from many standpoints and layers of experience there and color. And these were meant to be functional. This is a dining table, for example, that flips up so it can be enjoyed as a painting, but also actually you get involved with all those textures and colors when you eat on a surface like this, and it was meant to be practical and joyous and sensual, not precious. So you weren't meant to put your place settings and cover the precious artwork up. You were meant to just enjoy it surrounding your food and your meal and your company.
Do you like Chagall, Tony?
I like Chagall, yes, I do. And people have said that. So there you go.
Because I feel there's quite a lot of influence in.
Yeah, him and me were like that. And this is the series I was talking about, where I was interested in groups of numbers of figures and what they might be up to. So I did about 10 paintings on this theme. And then really for the last 8 years, so since 2000, and no, it's not 8 years, 15 or 16, I've been working on animations. So although I still do two-dimensional drawing and painting, I enjoy this going off into the world of movement and time, and still drawing and color. And I've made a few animations that have really absorbed me. And again, the themes that come up, like a painting, I don't particularly know where the direction of anything is going to go, but I explore it as it suggests itself. And although the process is a lot longer than a painting or a carving, it still ends up somewhere I've never been before. And that's probably where I am at the moment. And that's a still from the film I'm working on now.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony. That was a really interesting insight into the films, and having seen some in Open Studios last year and the year before, I can really recommend them. Go ahead and do see them, and yours will be, I think you're showing your animated films at 12 o'clock today, so I'll give a bit of a plug for that. So lastly, Annie, can you tell us something about your paintings, your lovely paintings?
Yes, thank you, Dorothy. I fell into painting about 12 or 13 years ago, having set it aside as a teenager, having been told that I'd never pass the art O level, so don't bother. So I'm a late returner, and what I'm very inspired about, and what inspires me with the paint, is energy, and the sense of energy from objects, and the surprise of starting something with no idea or no thought of where it's going, to see what emerges at the end. That fascinates me, that creative process. The piece I have in the exhibition has actually been inspired through my love of Mother Earth and flowers, particularly, really when their energy is rising to open and to give us their blossom. And through a series of photographs, because I really like to do photography as well. This particular piece, which is behind me at the moment, called Clematis, emerged, and the sense of being at one with the energy of the flower, with the life force that's in the plant. I do work as a medium and psychic, so that does have some impact on how I sense the energy of a painting. And I love abstract, because for me, then it's the emotional connection the viewer makes with the piece, that they can interpret it in a way that has relevance for them. yes, I have an interpretation or a meaning to a piece, but actually enjoying somebody else saying, oh, it looks like this, or oh, that I can see that. And it's very satisfying. I think for me, the pleasure I've got from it is not just my own, but the pleasure of it being satisfying for other people. I did used to always laugh about painting in my bedroom because I had no other place to paint with a small child, and then managing to move onto a dining room table so I could go bigger, which was exciting and scary, and then to have a whole studio to just play in. And I love that process that artists and creators go through. It's fascinating to talk to people about how they get their inspirations and how they bring it into an actual object that we can all enjoy. Yeah. What's kind of been really intriguing for me is, as Tony says, moving into animation. My daughter's busy learning about animation and games design and things, and we've collaborated on a couple of things, and that's been like, it's like ever onwards. There's always something more to enjoy and discover and to create, from believing that, you know, there's something in you that wants to come out. And yeah, I just could go on for hours, so I won't.
Yes, we haven't quite got hours, but thank you ever so much, Annie, because that's a real insight into how artists work and think and what it means to them, really. And I think in this age of technology, I mean, it's quite scary, but it is fascinating how things are developing and the ways in which artists are going. And certainly there's a lot more artists that are making films and videos and things like that. I'm just wondering if any of you can say anything about what do you think about Open Studios in Hebden Bridge and what it's like being an artist in Hebden Bridge.
Yeah, go on. It's a fantastic environment. I mean, it's just it's rich and full of and very inspiring. So to be able to see other people's artwork and work amongst other artists who are in very diverse fields, and to be able to access those. And I think the Open Studios is amazing, and what they've done this year, or what including you, Dorothy, and it's just phenomenal. Such a lot of work to transfer it from people's homes to being virtual is, I couldn't do it. I mean, this is a challenge for me. But yeah, no, it's an amazing place is Hebden, and wonderful to be part of that rich, diverse community. Yeah, and fantastic just to hear more, on this, about some of the other artists who are in our studios, because although we know them, we see everyone, we don't particularly know that much about everybody else's artwork. So I'm interested to go to the exhibition myself, to read the blurb and the information about the artists themselves as well, because it'd be nice to find out a bit more about everyone else.
Very good.
I think I'm on my something like 7th or 8th Open Studios, and for me it's actually been a great step in encouraging me to accept myself as an artist. I think when you pick up your tools and you start to create, and maybe you're doing it as a hobby, or it's a little bit of entertaining fun, and then it grows and grows and grows. And I've had different studios or different spaces over the years in which to showcase, I suppose, and build my confidence about my work. And what I love is that even though we can't have as much physical opening, and that joy of you know, chatting to people. They've been around lots of studios, they've got their list of where they're going, and to chat to them about what they've seen and who they've been visiting. Just the fact that we can still share and have this opportunity to say, look, I'm an artist, this is what I do, you know, come on in and engage with it, is fabulous. That is because of all the hard work that the Open Studios Committee do, but also because the artists in the area are willing to do it, willing to join in, and willing to be on display in a way. So for me, there's this fabulous artist community, and I might not know everybody, but I always was excited to get my brochure to have a look, oh, who's doing what, and see who's moved to what studio, or who else was new, who was exhibiting. And that's a really beautiful boost of energy to someone who still feels sometimes like a newbie. I still catch myself going, oh, but I'm only just an artist. And to know that there's this vibrant community of other people probably feeling just the same as me, and that we're out there helping one another. I've had lots of help from and support from people who I've met through Open Studios, and I'm eternally grateful to be able to be part of it in whichever way I can, because it's a fabulous thing.
Thank you, Annie. Have you got anything?
Well, I just want to share, really. I think for me, Open Studios has always been a time to share an intimate period with people who come into your space. So it's different to an ordinary exhibition where you sort of coolly place objects on walls and you allow a public through, and it's slightly distanced from the experience. But in a studio, or even virtually like this, I think this is a very intimate portrayal of who the artists are.
Yes.
And I think that's great for us as well as the audience, because we're sharing something personal, and it's nice to know that people are interested, and it's nice to celebrate the fact that we do have some personal extras to share with one another.
Yep. Great. Well, going back to Annie mentioning the brochure and how lovely it is to flick through it, which obviously this year, because of what's happened, we haven't been able to produce. Well, there was no point because nobody could come and see it. However, having said that, there are some studios that are open, like Jan's mentioned hers, and I think there's other people in Linden Mill that you can view by appointment. And I think it's what we've done this year is to open the website so people can look at more people's work on the website, and the pictures of the artists' work can be seen there. So please, I'm sure you would agree, everybody should go and look at the website that may be listening to this, and you know, pick a few favorite artists. There's also quite a few people have got shops attached to their websites. I know I have, for postcards and cards that you can buy, or even the paintings, which would be very nice. So I think it's really important that the website, you know, as well as what we're doing with the live streaming and the videos and films of artists and the discussions we're having, that people look at the website and see all the different artists, because there's such a huge wealth of creative activity that goes on in Hebden Bridge, and that's what we want to bring back to people, albeit through a slightly different method than going around the studios. So I think we might, unless you have any other pressing matters to talk about, finish it there. And I just want to thank you ever so much, and your wonderful backgrounds, which are all different and changing all the time and really interesting. Thank you ever so much for being part of this. And can I remind people that the exhibition at Linden Mill Gallery, which is in Linden Road, runs, and it's called One, and it was curated by Tony and Linda Hodges, and it's called One, and it's on from 12 till 5, the 10th and 11th, that's this weekend, and next weekend, which I believe is the 17th and 18th of October. And in the exhibition, there is sheets, A4 sheets of information that the artists have written all about themselves. There's lots and lots of fascinating work there. And a plug for Linden Mill itself. It's a fantastic hub with lots of great artists in. And if people need somewhere to run a class or anything like that, there is the art school, which has facilities, which I believe is run by Tony Isseyegh. So she's a fantastic young artist with young kids, and I think you saw a sample of her work as well. So thank you ever so much, Annie, Jan and Tony, for joining us on this live stream. And we'd like to say thank you very much. And do join us for our next event, which will be Tony's short animated films at 12 o'clock, along with all the other events, Kate Lysett, there's Kate Rhodes' video, Don Myers' video, Fiona Armour, and the discussion, Rue Waterhouse videos, and the discussion of the live stream at 3:30. And there's other things tomorrow. Do look on the website. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Yeah.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.